with the camera moving around, and we're at your mercy. In other words, you don't play to the camera, we'll play to you. You stop when you feel comfortable. You pause when you feel comfortable. You do whatever you want, and we'll be there to catch it. And then cutting from that to a giant wide shot where we come down and glide into her face. And it was really, it was nice.
Let us welcome them with open arms.
She loved a lot of people. She wanted to she never had any children, I assume. And she was like a mother to these odd people.
Come forward and meet the newest addition to our family.
Having a bunch of actors in those freak makeups was not easy. Most of them couldn't see. Most of them couldn't breathe. They couldn't take their heads off to have liquid. So we had to have freak wranglers, that's what we called them, that were assigned to the freaks. Each one had one or two that they worked with. So they gave them liquid, giant straws. They had fans. So you'd open up the, so they could get some kind of breathing in there. I mean, it was not an easy shoot. And it took 6 weeks to do, mainly because of the downtime that was spent setting up every single scene you had freaks in. But it was worth it. I mean, I just love the film. I still cackle when I watch it. And we even have some throwaway freaks. We have the giant opera singing head. That was just there for one joke. We have the gargoyle outside for one joke.
What was really exciting was you said in part 2, Belial is not center stage. There's an army of freaks. And that couldn't have made me happier. He had a lot to do on this project, including making Frankenhooker. So it was like, Gabe, just go design weird, cool stuff. So there were some he was very specific about, and others I would just pound out, and I'd be like, hey, here's a mouse character. How about a guy with 27 noses, you know? How about a dude with this crescent-shaped head? And would just keep going, and the harder he laughed was my sign of approval. He'd like crack up and leave the room. 2 days later, I'd have a guy covered in noodles, you know, like a brainiac guy. So it was great, but it's all with a wink and a nudge and to have a good time. So he really stressed to me, let's not make this mean-spirited and let's not bring it too close to home. So when I presented things like Toothy, you know, he said, you got it. That's exactly where we want to be.
Well, we're all having a hard time reaching her. She seems to be so withdrawn into her own private world.
Oh, I was psyched to redesign Belial. I genuinely liked Basket Case 1. I loved Belial. I thought he was hilarious. And the fact that they had a puppet, a hand puppet, an animation sequence, all was great. Frank was like, yeah, we want to make sure it's still Belial, but let's update it. We have a little more money. We're going to give you a real crew. You love sculpting, I'm gonna cut you loose on Belial. So it was like just giving him a facelift with the materials and the time allowed. So then we brought in a lot of animatronics and cable control stuff and actually built many Belials to accommodate many sequences, including shrinking him down to leap out of the basket.
We rented space in a pier, just a couple of blocks down on the Hudson. Pier 40, that was, at the time, all these diesel trucks were parked there. And they'd come in and out, you know, doo, 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 and everybody said, well, you can't shoot sound there. Well, the place was cinder block. You know, a bomb, you know, the atom bomb could have dropped and you'd never know it, okay? And there were no windows. So it was a perfect set, and it was huge. So we were able to turn 2 giant rooms into sets. And we built like the lab in Frankenhooker, elevated, so the water can come down at the end, but also because that became the attic in Basket Case 2, and we had to have the puppeteers underneath. So everything had a dual purpose. We built for both films. And then when I got Gabe on board, Gabe Bartalos, the whole point was pre-production on both